Hey guys, look what I got. That's right, I just got the new UMX B-25 Mitchell from E-flite and Horizon Hobby. I'm going to stop talking, we're going to open up the box, and we're going to see what's going on inside. As you can see here, we've got the plane inside the box underneath some labels, or stickers, or decals, whatever you want to call them. Those are different decals for a multitude of different variants of this plane that were actual squadrons, teams, whatever you want to call them, which is pretty cool. So you can customize them. Even if your buddy gets one of these, you can be a different variant. That way you can tell the planes apart, and they can look cool in the air. All sorts of different advantages with that. As you can see, we've got the manual right there sitting up top of the box, and also off to the side you've got the nose cone that sits over the battery hatch. So now we're going to take a look at the plane itself and give it an inspection. Alright, so here is a better look at the plane itself. It's not covered by decals or anything like that. One of the things that I noticed when I lifted it up out of the box was we have landing gear on there and attached, which I am excited about to no ends. My B-17, I had to carve out a bunch of foam down there and essentially create those slots, which made a big mess, and it took quite a bit of time to get it right. So I'm glad I don't have to fuss with that. Work has been insane lately, so I really don't have much time to screw around with things like that. Hell, I barely have time to fly these days. So here is a look at the actual plane itself. Now, my first real impression of this is that it's way smaller than I thought it was. Like, some of the pictures and even in the video, it looks bigger, it has more of a presence, but in person, it really isn't that big, which is fine. It's a micro, that should be small. One thing that I did notice was there's a slight difference in that end of this elevator here, which is pretty much been a standard for most of my recent UMX purchases. This one isn't nearly as bad as my S-Bach, my B-17, among others, so I can't complain too much. But Horizon Hobby, if you're listening, please reduce that. Please make that better, because that's really annoying, especially when it's worse than that. There are a few really cool things about this plane. One of them being, we've got the wing structure there, the semi-symmetrical wing foil. No underchamber action going on. Let me get this here so you can see that. It's an Army plane. This thing really looks sharp, guys, in person. It may be a little smaller than I anticipated it being, but it looks really sharp. I really like, if you look down here, this thing is a thick support rod going across both sides. And we've got some wires poking in down here, adding a little extra support down there. It looks like it's just really well made overall. There's some nitpicky things I can point out, because that's what I do in my reviews. Especially for things from E-flite Horizon Hobby, because frankly, they charge a premium price, so I expect their stuff to be top notch. So you notice that this U-horn, U-hook, whatever you want to call that, is different than that. They may have adjusted it at the factory for me. I'm not sure. It's just a tiny bit off, but when I bind it, it'll probably line up perfectly straight, like it did on my UMX Cub, actually. So that is pretty much that for the quick overview. Now I'm going to bind this plane to my DX6, and we're going to test out the motors. We are going to move the control surfaces, and we're just going to kind of get this thing broken in, that way we can fly it. Alright guys, here it is, all nice and bound up. So I'm going to show you a couple things here real quick. First thing that I want to show you is the battery. Well, you can hear some AS3X there. I let the little props go a little bit off camera. And we've got this battery bay here, and it angles up in there. I'm going to show you that a little more closely here in a minute. But I want to tell you about the pre-order. I ordered this on pre-order, and I expected to receive it about the same time as everybody else, including those who ordered it after it was in stock. And I actually ended up waiting much longer than I should have. That happened to me recently. I pre-ordered 3 things recently. All 3 arrived later than they would have if I had just waited and then ordered it when it became in stock. So my lesson learned was never pre-order something. There are certain scenarios where something might sell out. That's when a pre-order helps you. But if you want to get it quicker than everybody else, the pre-order is not the way to go. Alright guys, as I promised just a little bit ago, we were going to take a look at the battery bay, and that's what we're going to do right now. As you can see, it goes back there really far, but there is an angle, a pretty awkward angle to be completely honest, when actually sticking a battery in there and pulling it out. I'm not sure what that extra piece of foam in there is for. I speculate that's to make the nose a little bit stronger, or maybe even add a little extra weight there in the front to balance out the CG. I really don't know, but I wanted to point that out because I didn't expect that. I expected it to be level, and it's not. Alright guys, so I've got this set up with the dual rates set at 80%, and I've got the Expo set at 30%. And as you can see, the throws are actually quite good. And there are the props going there. That was fun. And here it is from a different angle. I'm going to be very careful not to bring these up too high. Alright guys, here's the comparison you've been waiting for. On this side, we've got the Boeing B-17. On this side, we've got the North American B-25 Mitchell. And as you can see, these are similar in size. The wingspan on the B-17 is a little bit bigger, but if you're looking at the actual scale planes, this one, the B-17, the actual plane is about 103 feet for the wingspan, and this one is actually around 67. So this is a little bit more scaled up versus the B-17, but they both look cool together. You put them out on the runway or off to the side of the runway at the flying field, they're going to look pretty damn cool regardless. Alright? You also notice that the coloring is a little bit different. I actually really like this coloring here. I was always somewhat lukewarm on that, depending on the light. In bright sunlight, that green actually turns a little more this color, so either way, it's alright. So I hope you enjoyed this quick size comparison, and now I'm going to wrap things up with my final notes. Alright guys, my final notes on this include a couple things that I didn't notice until just now actually. So, we look at the wheels, the sticker isn't on center, fine, no big deal. But when you spin it, you notice that the actual hole for the tire, or wheel or whatever, isn't. I'm not sure how that's going to roll on pavement. Hopefully it's not too big of a deal. But, you know, something worth pointing out. I point out the things I see, you guys draw the conclusions. Another thing I noticed, this wire is far thinner than the wire. This feels solid. This does not. This is thinner gauge metal, which it shouldn't be, but it is. So I wanted to point that out. And other than that, and a couple other minor things I pointed out earlier, this thing looks awesome. I have a feeling it's going to perform well, and I can't wait to get out and fly it. I'm going to call this a wrap and say like, comment, and subscribe. Due to the weather, I can't fly it, but if you subscribe, you'll be able to see it fly when I do. Until then, GB Linden, out.